and welcome to That's Girl Speaks. Today is Friday, January 14th, and this is episode 308. My name is Amy Beth, also known as the Fat Squirrel on Ravelry, and the Fat SQRRL on Instagram. Hi. Thanks for coming over to visit. You are appreciated and welcome. Gus is here. He's wandering around looking for hugs, as he always is. So I'm sure you'll give them. He's been kind of sick. We're worried about him, but we're going to see how he goes forward. Yeah. So thanks for coming over. There's tea. In the pot, we have Sleigh Ride and black tea combo, because I can't do just herbal, even though I think it's fun to have the herbal like as a little extra. I haven't quite gotten to the place where I can just drink the herbal. I don't know. And it's sumo season. So exciting! So if you've not been with me before, welcome to my love of citrus. It's not as great as my love of apples, but it's pretty awesome. And it's not the fall, so I can focus a lot of my energy on my love of citrus rather than it being like dissipated over the entire joy of the season. There's no like fun winter squashes, no return to soup season to compete with my love of citrus. But so the grocery stores now have the sumos, which they are a treat, right? Like they are expensive. Sometimes they're I've seen them everywhere from like $4 a pound. Sometimes they'll go on sale for $2 a pound. And it varies quite a bit, like which ones. Our Target grocery this year has them in a bag, like a 3-pound bag or something. And it is $3 a pound versus the $3.50. So there's a tiny price break. But yeah, just get that out of the way. They're expensive. And so, like, I get it. If you're like, no, I cannot spend that money on citrus, I get it. I definitely did not save a gift card from my birthday in June to get citrus. Except I totally did. Even though that makes no sense. It makes no sense. But I was very excited to use my gift card on guilt-free citrus. So if you've never had one before, just buy one and just try it. Maybe buy 2 just in case. But I feel like I've eaten like 100 of them and I've maybe had 2 that weren't the best. Maybe I haven't eaten 100. I don't know, over like 3 or 4 years, maybe I have. Let's not figure out how much money that is. Okay, so she says as sitting in front of a wall of yarn. I don't know how to spend money, right? I was raised poor. Shush. So like this little thing like just pops right off and they are super easy to peel. They're actually easier to peel even than like a clementine. I know that sounds insane, but because the peel itself is pretty chunky, but there's not a lot of like connective tissue between the peel and the orange itself. And in fact, lots of times when you pick them up, you can kind of feel that there's like you can feel like almost like it's like loose inside of there. And sometimes you'd think like that means it's bad. Actually, that's usually not a problem at all. I've never been like this one is rancid or something. But so even if they feel like they're loose, like that's fine. And in fact, I sometimes feel like they're better if they are like that. I don't know. But they're the best. Some people ask like what it is. Like Sumo Citrus is a brand name of this fruit, but it is actually a fruit that they developed. It's like a hybrid of, what is it? A hybrid of whatever. It's a hybrid of another citrus. Sorry. So this specific one is a mandarin and something else. But so this specific one, like, so somebody will inevitably ask, but like, what is another? It is just a branded thing, like a jazz apple, you know? But so like, they're amazing, right? So like, so not only are they amazingly easy to peel, the like pockets of citrus, I don't know what those are called, I apologize. Like the little like sacks of juice that are in the orange itself are also not as tightly bound to one another. And so it has almost, and it's it's not, it has almost like an effervescent quality when you bite it, because you get like the distinct little pops when you're taking your time to savor it anyway. And in fact, if you kind of like let your orange kind of sit a little bit, it can kind of get even like kind of like, if you've ever let an orange out and the connective tissue gets kind of crunchy, but in the sumo that kind of does this magic thing where like it's almost like those little sacks of juice become like very slightly crystallized. They're not at all crystallized, but like the dehydration kind of like makes them even more distinct from themselves. And it's like such a fun textural experience. They're the best. They are one of the very few dog foods that I will not give any to the dogs, because, okay, that's not true. I did give Annie a tiny bit when Gus wasn't here, because they are so precious. And like, I'm like, I think you just inhaled that. I don't really appreciate how amazing this orange experience is. Whatever. But so the sumo, the best. And then also, it's pomelo season. This is the first one we bought. It was like super expensive, so I haven't like opened it up yet. But this is also, if you've seen these in your grocery but been like, they're also like a wonderful experience. They have this they're technically a grapefruit, but they're not nearly as bitter as a grapefruit. Like, I'm not actually a fan of grapefruit. I want to, like every year I will try to get them, and like, this is the year I'm gonna like them, but they're just like a little too much for me. And they look beautiful, they smell beautiful, but I just, for some reason, there's something about them that I just cannot get behind. But the pomelo is beautiful. It does have like a very high acidity. So like if you have any sort of like heartburn issues or something, it might be something to stay away from. But it is delicious. It's definitely more work to get into, because it's like, when we first got them, I had to like YouTube video, like, how do I get into this thing? It's like, because the flesh is super thick, but they are also such a treat. So anyway, so you're more than welcome. We can share this later. Right? Delicious. So thank you so much for coming over and sharing citrus season with me. There are also still some Gold Rush apples if you're like, no thank you. They're getting very precious as well, because it's, obviously. Oh my gosh, I just found out that the orchard I got them from closes at Christmas, which I feel like I did vaguely remember. But right before Christmas, they have like a buy one, get one free sale where you like buy a peck and get a peck free. Somebody remind me next year to go get those apples. Maybe I should set an alarm on my phone. They're delicious. What are you gonna do? Oh my goodness. So this week's episode will contain shenanigans of the mind. We're going nowhere, people. Going nowhere. We are on a road to nowhere. Fully. But it'll also contain some finished spinning. It'll contain some like adjacent-ish. It'll contain some other crafts. They're really not, they're barely adjacent. And it'll contain a little bit, that's under shenanigans. Okay, so that's all the things, I think. I have a bunch of sewing that I want to show with you, but this is like such a bad thing because I keep being like, it'll also contain shameless self-promotion. We might actually just do that right now. I keep wanting to do some sewing with you that I've recently completed, but now it's like up to like 3 or 4 projects. So I'm like, now it's like to the point where I'm like, oh, I can't talk about that. It's gonna take forever. So let's put it off until next time. Clearly. Well, you know what? We'll just do it right now. We're going to do some sewing, and then we'll do some shenanigans of the mind. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Administration, right before we do that. Neurodivergencies. Administration, right before that. I just want to send a big thank you out to patrons of the podcast. I'm going to draw prizes for you next time. So, just wanted to remember to tell you that. I have not scheduled January's virtual knit nights, but I will put them on the Patreon page. I try not to put a lot of stuff out there because like, it's probably just me, but like I'm so overwhelmed by email that I like do not want to send you those notifications if I can at all help it. I know, it's just weird. Whatever, I have issues, okay? But I will send you, I will post that. So, kisses. But yeah, let's get into it. So we'll just talk a little bit about sewing. We'll do it. We're going to start to do it. All right. So one of the things I'm super duper pleased about is that I finished sewing my, a new pair of overalls. They are from Merchant and Mills, and they are called Harlene, like Arlene, but with an H. Like everybody that's not from the country is like, why is that the descriptor you're giving me? Where are my old Appalachian people from? You know you got an Aunt Arlene. So they are let's see, Dungarees. I'm sorry, they are labeled as Dungarees because they are the British. They are sized, they have like two size groupings, like when you buy the purchase. When you buy the pattern, you buy like the smaller range, which goes up to like a 16 or an 18 or something like that. And then my range is like an 18 to a 28. And they are a very basic profile, like a very traditional, gender neutral-ish profile of a dungaree. The only thing that I would say is different than like what I would consider like a workwear look is that the back has a bit of a dart so that you have a little bit of lessening of fabric between the pant and the bib. And you know what? I don't know that that's true on the smaller sizes. I didn't think to look at that. But for my size grouping, there is a pleat, but that's lovely for me because, so let me discuss. This goes up to size or it's listed as 28. And that is a 57 3/4 inch. Oh, that's the finished measurement. I apologize. I know that the finished measurement or the body measurements did not actually go up to my size. So I kind of hesitated, to spend the money on the pattern because it was not, even made for me. But then I folded because whatever, I'm a human being. But I did see several makers say that their sizing ran pretty generous on these dungarees. So to give you an idea, the finished measurement for the size US or size 28 is the hip measurement is 65 inches. And I'm just going to give you that one because that's, I think, the most crucial measurement of a dungaree, I would imagine, for folks. So technically it was outside of my range, but I went ahead and made them. But I did add an extra inch to the back leg. So I made the front legs exactly as drafted, but the back leg I added just like a literal 1-inch strip. And now I can't remember if I tapered it down at the leg or if I just literally like cut it, like split it and put in an inch. I think I probably did the latter. I can't remember. I apologize. But the great thing is it's very easy to just take that out in that waist pleat. So I just made my pleat a little bit, dart, not pleat, dart. Made my dart just a little, just encompass that extra fabric, and I was really pleased with it. And now it does not give like a super form-fitted look to the back. It still has a traditional look to the fit, in my opinion. But it just helps to have a little bit less fabric back at the back of your waist, where I don't need that extra fabric because of just the way I'm shaped. I have like a more shelf-like butt. My adipose tissue is distributed more like this way rather than just like this way. You know what? Here's a picture of me and all my adipose tissue. It's actually a video, so I'm going to put it right here. Okay, so one thing I forgot to mention when I was talking about modifications, is that I did add 1 inch to the front and back rise, just because that would have been like in line with me grading it to my size. So there's me just new boot goofing in my my new overalls. Now mine are made in a baby whale, so I think it's like a 21 whale corduroy that does have a small amount of stretch. So I think it's like 98% cotton, 2% spandex, and I apologize, or lycra, I don't know. Excuse me. But I apologize, I don't actually know where I got that fabric. Usually I try to remember to tell you, but I have no idea at this point. So yeah, so my apologies. It was not from Joann's, and it was it's not from a fabric company that I buy from frequently. It must have just been a one-off. So I can't remember if it's something I got off of Etsy, whatever, I don't know, I apologize. But you can totally find, but it does have less body. Like, it is much softer than the pinwheel stretch corduroy from Joann Fabrics, like that dress I made for like the Christmas time-ish. That's kind of like a rosy spice color. Like that corduroy from Joann's would be great for these overalls. In fact, I think it would be better than the fabric I chose. But this one was just a little bit softer, just to kind of give you an idea. It does have traditional hardware, so it has the hammered in dungaree clips at the top, and then it has 2 hammered in buttons on either side. However, I actually don't need to, like, it depends on your body whether you'll need those or not. So like if you're really intimidated by doing buttonholes and stuff, like it's possible that you won't even need to do them. I did do them just because like I was there. But I know sometimes, even if it's not that you're intimidated, but sometimes on a really heavy duty fabric, like doing a buttonhole can be just a challenge if you have not the best sewing machine in the world. So, and there are definitely ways to do buttonholes by hand. I have never done a buttonhole by hand though, so that should be on my list of things to do. But anyway, I'm very pleased with them. Again, I added that inch to the back, and I did make the bib, I made the bib like a size 18. So the top of the bib is a size 18, and then I angled it out, but that was not a good decision. I do need the narrower bib because my body is thicker this way than it is this way. So I have a narrow shoulder. So not only do I not want the straps to slip off the shoulder, I often just don't like the way a bib looks on me because it wants to like pucker here. It wants to like flip out here. And then there's like all this extra fabric on the sides, which don't really want to pull around my body. I'm assuming just because of the way it's like anchored on your frame or what have you. But when I did that, when I made the top of that bib smaller, it increased the angle from like here to my waist. And I think that made it even more problematic, made the bib even fit more problematically on the sides. And so what I ended up doing, I don't know if you could tell exactly in the video because it's a dark color, and the texture of the corduroy kind of like confuses the camera a little bit, and actually kind of confuses your eye a little bit in person. But I ended up putting like a little bit of a pleat on the side of the bib. So I just kind of like folded it down and just tack sewed it a couple times so that it would like kind of conform to my bust line a little bit more. Again, it's not a fitted look at all, but it just isn't gaping open, which I don't like the look of. But so next time I make the bib, yeah, I'm going to actually play with a bib more. Like I did not make a toile of I did not make a muslin of this pattern at all. I just went for it. Crazy. Thanksgiving is when I made that dress because I was going to make these for Christmas and then I didn't get them done in time. So next time I'm going to play with the bib a bit more to see like what I can do within because you know it needs to meet the pants at a certain place because of how the side fashionings go. I don't want to have like bare waistband in the front. It may be that I need to just make the front of the pants smaller so that then the front of the bib is smaller at the waist. I don't really think that's what I want to do. It's possible that that's what I'm going to do. But yeah, I don't know. Do you have ideas? I remember that I had an idea about how to fix it, but do I know what that idea was? No. Do I just have the haunting memory that I had a clever idea and probably never retrieve it from the ether again? Am I 42 years old? Did I just have a dream the night before last? Like a total panic dream. That I was moving out of college for the summer and could not pack all my stuff into like what I had to get out of the dorm. Like, when I was in college, there weren't even, like, luggage requirements for airplanes. Like, I regularly flew home over summer break with, like, almost every piece of clothing I owned, like, stuffed into, like, one of those giant army duffels. Because, like, I don't even think... I mean, I think they might have weighed things, but, like, it was, like, it couldn't be 100 pounds or something ridiculous. And I'm pretty sure you could always have two... Whatever. Like, we had a room in our basement where we could store stuff over the winter. I mean, it was always a little bit sketchy. Like, who knows what'll happen? Or over the summer, like, who knows what'll happen to it? But you can put it in this room, and we'll lock it with this dollar store lock. See what happens. Actually, I'd never had anything taken. But, like, why did I have this stress dream? I've been out of college for an excess of 20 years. In this dream, I also had a dream that they decided to take all of the senior rooms, which we don't even have senior rooms, so I don't even know what that dream was about. They took all of the senior rooms and made them into doubles for seniors, and I was like, what? I mean, I'm not saying that one of the high decision points of where I went to college was because there was a potential of getting a single room, like, in your sophomore year, but... Introvert. Just saying. But yeah, what is that about? What were we talking about? Like, I don't even know anymore. Right? Welcome. Eat an orange, you're fine. So yeah, I'm very excited about my Harlene Dungarees. I will also show... Oh, I should have made this announcement before I showed you a picture of my adipose tissue. Okay, we have to do this. Just take a moment. If you feel the need to tell me that I should not wear... Okay, let me just roll that back. Don't comment. If your comment is anything about my perceived health, my perceived happiness in my body, my perceived physical, whatever. If you're about to leave a comment about how you know I would feel so much better if I changed X about my body, just don't. And if you made it and then now you're watching, go delete it. Because I'm going to delete it. Just saying. Because quite frankly, I'm not that worried about what you say to me. I mean, I shouldn't have to put up with it because that's baloney. And like, you're consuming free content that I made. So I shouldn't have to put up with it. But the main thing is that another innocent bystander who is just looking through show notes or looking through the YouTube thing to find like what pattern X was because I'm a flake and didn't say it does not need to see your comment. So I'm just saying. Yeah. So I should put that first. But then also let me put a picture here of another project that I finished sewing. So that is and I apologize, actually I'm not sure how you say it, but the Talam or the Talam, T-A-L-A-M, jumpsuit pattern from the folks at Sew Liberated. So I was a paid test sewer of that item, but my commentary on the podcast or at Instagram is not part of that test sew payment. So this is without financial reward when I tell you this. By the way, just to clarify, I will try, I will tell you anytime that somebody has given me something for free. I don't ever take anything from somebody with the guarantee of any sort of positive review or anything, obviously, but I will also always tell you. So like when I show you yarn or this, like it was not given to me. I purchased it. And then I might tell you like, oh, they sent a free thing or what have you, but it's not like impending on me saying anything. So again, I do test sew for Sew Liberated occasionally, but that is like my posting about anything that I sew is not a part of that contract at all. It is up to me to if I want to do that or not. And I just wanted to show this to you because it's real cute. So here's the front. Now in the back it has, let me show you let's see, let me get you a picture of the back. I think this is the best picture. So this is definitely something that I would have not sewn on my own, which is one of the fun things about test sewing. It has this kind of like droopy bottom. Not that this lovely human has a droopy bottom. The garment has a bit of a droopy bottom. It kind of has like that gathering leg look, and like a drop crotch, which I know is such a flattering thing to say. But here it is, and here's one in a print. So it is a wrap. So it goes across and it wraps. You can see a tie at the waist. And it was really, this fabric is so cute that she sewed hers with. But it was really a fun sew. Like I was very intimidated by it. Well, not very intimidated. I was a little bit intimidated by it. But I will say that Sew Liberated's fabric patterns always have top-notch directions. Like I always feel like they spend a considerable amount of time, effort, and money because they do employ as test sewers to get the best and most clear options for instructions and construction that they can do. But that not all of that is to say I was still intimidated because part of it is that you use that clear elastic tape, which I had never used before. I don't have much experience sewing with knits. I have a little bit, but not a lot. And so this is a knit jumpsuit. I don't think I've ever made myself like a wrap piece at all. So it was just like a lot of it was like, what's going to happen with this? But it was really fun. I feel like I had a really successful time sewing it. It was not frustrating to me at all. I sewed the entire thing on a regular sewing machine. I do have a serger, but it has been behaving quite poorly as of late, so I didn't want to trust it. The fabric I used was a Tencel French terry. Now that sounds insane when I say it. But I didn't want something that, like, it looks super cute on folks when it's like that very, very thin knit that's super drapey, like a Tencel or even just a cotton, but like it has you definitely want it to have memory because it's going to go over your butt and over your knees. So unless you feel comfortable with those parts looking kind of like bagged out, you want something that has some memory in it. So some spandex or lycra or what have you. Has good recovery. But you can see some of the folks made them in like a stretch velvet, stretch velour. I don't know if there's a difference between those two things, but they just look super cute and like fun and festive for a holiday. Some people made them out of a very drapey and thinner-ish knit, which looks super cute, but I did not want to do that because I just didn't think I would wear something that was like very clingy on my bottom and like a thin knit. I don't care if things are tight on my body, if they're thicker, but I don't like every like little kind of like divot and dimple to show in my divoty dimply English muffiny thighs and butt. So I did choose to do the French terry because it still had enough drape that I thought it would still kind of like go with what we were looking for, but that it would not cling in that same way. And I was very pleased with it. It's very fun. So yeah, it was a very fun sew and I was very pleased with how it turned out. I've just been pleased 9,000 times. Apologies, kids. Thanks for bearing with me. But I used a lightning stitch on my sewing machine rather than the zigzag stitch. I do prefer that. I have on permanent loan from my mom, have a Janome Gym. She's going to be like, I didn't know it was permanent loan. Long-term, potentially permanent loan. Have a Janome gem that I have that I use for like buttonholes, or if I need to do a zigzag, because in my possession I only have straight line machines because that's what I use for business sewing. But it's a relatively basic machine. It's not fancy pants. But it does have one-step buttonhole, and it does have this lightning stitch, which is super useful. Because A, I like the way it looks to hem knits with even, versus trying to do a twin needle. And I just like sewing with that lightning stitch. It's a bear to pick out because of just the way it's done. But I just like it a lot more than a zigzag. So, it's just me though. You do you. And there are I'm pretty sure there's a Craftsy class out there about sewing knits only on, without a serger. And I know that I have taken that class in the past and found it to be very useful. And I'm sure there are other resources out there too about sewing with knits. Like if you got a sewing machine for Christmas, or a holiday gift of some sort, or just a gift to yourself. But you're thinking like, oh, the knits, I don't know. Knits are a great project because they are a lot more forgiving in terms of fit. Just like, like you can, that's why t-shirts are size small, medium, large instead of like 22, 24. Do you know what I mean? Like, so they are much more forgiving and fit. I do find knits a bit more mysterious to buy. Like, I feel like it's harder for me to understand what I'm going to get. Like, if I have to purchase them online, which is typically how I purchase garment fabrics. But yeah, a lot of me talking. But that is all to say, like, I hope you're not too intimidated to try to sew with some knits. And you can always, practice a little bit with an old t-shirt that you have that you're getting ready to thrift. That might be a little bit too pilly and weird to thrift because you've got some of those somewhere. You might practice making some little napkins or patches for clothes. My friend Joanna Spring, who's Knit Spin Farm, who's brilliant, says that she uses t-shirts or knits to do her mending a lot of time because you don't have to worry about the edges fraying. And when she said that, I was like, 42 years old, hadn't thought of that. Like, because what is a pain about mending things is often trying to like turn under all the corners and like get it lined up. And like if you're doing a knit, like you don't even have to worry about that. Right? They're not going to be like a super durable patch for something like, work pants or something. But how clever is that? But you could totally practice on your lightning stitch skills or your zigzag stitch skills on something like that. Okay, what else did I say? Oh, I did not modify that jumpsuit pattern at all. Not at all. But I will say that you could see probably from the picture of my bottom that I did not achieve that like baggy look in the back, but I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, that due to feedback from testers and things like that, that the folks at So Liberated, I believe, did either make a note or made some like accompanying YouTube videos about that jumpsuit, about how to add more fabric in that area if you do want that look of the like creases and what have you and the like drapier look. It was not, I actually like the fit of the one I have personally, like for myself. And it's also nice that like you do have a little bit of flexibility in there if you have a big butt. If you have if you have a big butt. I'm sure there's like a more diplomatic way of saying that. I love Muna and Broad when they write their patterns, when they're describing shapes of things, they describe them very clinically in terms of like, if your adipose tissue on your rump is shaped like this or is deposited in this way, which I just think is like, yes. But I got to get my brain wrapped around how to say that, like how to incorporate that more non-emotive description of bodies into my daily practice. But until I do, if you have a big butt, it's nice to know that you have that extra fabric built in. So maybe you won't get the fit that you, that is like pictured, but you'll still get a fit that works. And then you could work on getting that more drapey, more voluminous fit in another project. How do you even put up with me? Bless your hearts. Okay, so then also in sewing, shameless self-promotion. Ba-da-da! So we're coming up on Ye Old Valentine's Day. I've been wanting to do some color blocking stuff. And so those two things have combined together. Like, do you like the color blocking? I love it. Every time I see the people with the color blocked clothing and sweaters, I'm just so excited about it. But I'm not adventurous enough in myself to kind of go into it. I don't know. I really appreciate some symmetry on my own person, but I love other people being asymmetrical. So, I don't know. That was weird. That is all to say. It's not a fashion element that I'm quite ready to incorporate into my own wardrobe, but I do really enjoy it. So it seemed like doing some bags for y'all with color blocking would be a great way to get into that. So that combined with Valentine's Day, I decided to make some palantines. Now that I say palantines out loud, that's an actual word. I don't know what the word means. All right, let's look it up together. What is a palantine? I just want to make sure that it's nothing crazy. Is it a real word? Do I just think it's a word? Oh my gosh, it's actually a thing. I didn't even invent it. September 1st, 2021. Palentine's Day is like Valentine's Day, but for friends. Celebrated the same day as Galentine's Day on 13th of February, Palentine's Day is an antidote to all the syrupy sentimentality of Valentine's Day. Oh my gosh, we like co-invented Palentines. I got bags for you. Okay, so I decided to do them in some like warm but slightly edgier Palentine's colors. So your bag, they're all sweater size, so they all are great for like 4 to 7 skein projects, right? They all have a handle, except somehow, oh, these are the samples. They don't have their handles in them. I'm like, somehow, except this one. It's because these are the ones that I sewed first. But so yeah, you won't know exactly what you're gonna get, because hi, we're pals. But there will be something like these configurations. Every bag will have a 4-color block on one side and a 3-color block on the other. And every bag will have at least 5 colors. But yeah. And they will be of these colors. These are all the different colors. So yeah, so I'm going to put those up January 15th in the shop. So January 15th at fatsquirrelfibers.com, 9 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. New York City time is when I will have the update go live, and we'll have them there. I understand that these colors are not everybody's jam. So if you're like, oh, I do really love this color block idea, because I am a little nervous that you're going to be like, this is not what we're used to seeing from you. No. Swipe the way that you're not supposed to like something. Swipe way. I'm not on the apps. So like, if you don't like it at all and you think it's hot garbage, please keep that information to yourself. I will just understand that by your lack of voice that you don't like it. But if you do like it and you're like, oh, I really love those, but I am not a fan of those colors, then totally drop me a note in the YouTube comments and just let me know what colors you would like to see, just so I can get a kind of an idea of like, if these don't go well, like if it's something where it's like people just don't like the color block idea, or if you're like, no, I do like the idea, I just don't like those colors. So that's happening. Okay, so then the next thing, which is not quite knitting yet, but is getting closer, is that I had purchased a potholder loom from Harrisville Designs many moons ago. I don't know how long ago I purchased this. They have 2 sizes. So this is the pro size, and then they also have like a traditional size, which this I believe is 11 inches, and I believe the standard one is 7, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a metal, like, you know, like when you were a kid, you had like the little plasticky ones. Well, these are metal. They have just enough bend on this tine to really keep your potholder loops in there nicely. And then they make gorgeous potholder loops there at Harrisville. They're like the best quality. They have for a billion colors. They have on their website, they offer both, they have for sale a hardback potholder looping book, but they also, if you go under the Friendly Loom thing, also not, I'm not sponsored by Harrisville. You go to the Friendly Loom thing, you can, they have like an online program where you can, it makes me sound really old. They have a little widgety thing where you can like put in your colors and you can pick from several different patterns and you can like select different colors to see what it would look like in the colors that you have. I think they call it a potholder wizard or something like that. And that's a free thing that's on their website. So if you just want to play around. But I've been very pleased with their product. I did lose my little tool that comes with it. But if you do, they sell a replacement for $5, I want to say. I totally did buy one, but in the meantime, just used an old coat hanger and just pinned it. Because I got my loops and I needed to loop. So yes, that's the limit. And I've made other potholders with it before, and they're just lovely. Sorry, I'm trying not to make too much noise. I did, however, a friend of mine, I think, or maybe I just saw it on the internet. I'm not sure. But a company called Ash and Elm. I say company. I think that they are a small business. Not Ash and Elm. Acorns and Twigs. See, so confusing. They have a keep on looping subscription box where you make a monthly thing, and then they send you a box of loops, and they send you. Well, there's different options. You can get like an online only option where they will just get you like the PDF of the 4 patterns that they're using that month. You can get a basic subscription, which has enough to do 4 pot holders, or there's like a fancy gourmet one, which has like extra bonusy things. Before any of you at me, it's pricey, and I understand that it's pricey. This is the thing. The Harrisville loops are pricey, and the way you have to buy them is either you buy like the assorted packages, or if you like, they have like bundled packages. Like there's one right now that I really want that's like aqua red and chocolate, but those packages are like $50 or $60. And again, I'm not like, that to me is worth it, but the thing is, like, that makes like 6 pot holders, and I'm like, I really don't want like 6 of the same colored pot holders. Or I do, but then I'm like, then I make 2 or 3, and then I'm like, So I wanted to try this one just for a few months, and let me just discuss. Highly enjoyed it. It was so fun. I got my little box of looms on like, I don't know, January 2nd or something. I don't know. I got it like right at the new year. And I went to go get my loop out, and then I couldn't find my hook, and I had a fit. Oh no, it must have come at Christmas time, because at the day after Christmas or something, because my kiddo wasn't here for me to be like, where's my potholder looper thing? And so I was super excited to get to try it on. I decided I was going to do it on New Year's Day, and so I went to go get it out on New Year's Day, and I couldn't find my loopy thing, and I got ticked. Or the day after Christmas. I don't know, what am I telling you? You don't care. Sorry. But it was such a treat to like have everything all together, and you get these little cards with an actual picture of the finished pot holder, and then on the back is like the map, like the grid of how you're supposed to do it. So it's just like, it's really just a convenience thing, but I loved it. And so here are my pot holders, and I did have enough to do all of my pot holders. The loops just come loose in the box. They're not like packaged in anything, so there's not that much packaging. And I did have an extra of each loop. I probably have like 15-ish extra loops, I'm gonna say-ish. So there was no issue with running low, but like, look how cute my pot holders are. So each month has a theme. This theme was gnome, which is, I'm not going to lie, is what it told me. feel free to judge. I am not a perfect potholder loomer. There's one back here I missed, and but it was so fun to do. I was so excited. And so I'm going to get one more, the Valentine's Day one, and then I think I'm going to take a little break because I am definitely going to give some away and things like that. But I'm also really excited because my friend Malia, who had a podcast, which was amazing, said she made this crazy one. She posted a picture of this potholder, and I was like, wait, what is that? Because it had some over twos, like the traditional potholders and all the ones I've seen in Harrisville are up and over. All of the color patterning happens from the placement of the colors in the warp and weft. None of that has anything to do with you go up and under each one. Okay. But she posted this bananas one, which I was like, wait, what? And she posted that it was this book. I'm trying to figure out. It's one that squares, I think, or something like that. But I was like, it's like this one. See? You make square. What? And so she posted that it's from this book, which you can purchase on Etsy. I just got it in the mail today. So she thinks it's great. I believe her 100%. But it's called More Potholder Patterns. And it's available on Etsy. It's by Gina Underwood. And it has new patterns, new twills, and new imaginings. There are 2 of them. And this one is the second, but I went ahead and got it because it was the one my friend said she liked. So, I don't think she has the other one, but for some reason it's the one she has. But anyway, it's very exciting. And I'm super excited to try these out. So I'll tell you next time. I may have to go get that box of loops. That combination of loops from Harrisville. That's such a cute color. But look at this one. These twills are what I'm most excited about because apparently I don't know anything about weaving, as you can tell. Evidently that's code for not just going up and under, over and under, but going over to and under or something. I'm excited. So it's just a little self-done thing. It's got a plastic cover. It's spiral bound. It is 100 pages long. And yeah, I'm pretty excited. Oh, it tells you how to make a hair scrunchie with finger weaving the loops. You may be seeing that next time. This has nothing to do with anything, but I was just excited and it just came in the mail today. The new Southern Exposure Seed catalog is here. My friend Joanna Spring, who is Knit Spin Farm, who makes amazing self-striping sock yarn and bats, totally turned me on to the seed company, and their seed packets and seed catalogs are the cutest. They always feature gnomes. These gnomes, I don't know if you can tell, are fully kayaking in peppers. Shut it. World. Sometimes you just do a lot of things right, world. Did I magically open to the winter squash section? Yes. Yes, I did. Oh my gosh, somebody on my street has a bull terrier, and it is so cute. But it must not be a regular bull terrier because it's gigantic. It's like a horse. No, it's not at all. It is like a Shetland pony size, though. Its little cute, weird shaped head is as big as my head. It's so cute. Sorry, it's just he was walking. I just was excited again. Oh my goodness, I'm ridiculous. Okay, so there's that. She said she tied anything up. Okay, so another thing I've been okay, so these are the shenanigans. Shenanigans of the mind. So one thing I've really been enjoying since the last time we talked, I've been having a lot of evenings where I'm not even knitting. I'm really fatigued. I don't know why. I don't have the COVID. I've done the test. I do know why, I think, in some ways. But we'll figure that out in a minute. Not with you and I. We'll do it later. We'll talk about it later. But anyway, so I've just been like really like in the evenings. And so I have been enjoying playing a game. I just enjoy. But I really can't commit to a traditional video game. Like, it's like there's too much stuff moving. You have to commit a really long time. Like games nowadays. Like I know there are lots of games available for casual gamers. But it seems like so many games that I'm like intrigued by, like the farming games and things like that, and like the cutie RPGs are like they just feel like too much of a time commitment. Like I can't wrap my brain about it. And I'm not like saying that they're not worth the time commitment. It's just like in my head, it's a wall. That is just a wall for me. But I really do enjoy playing board games online because I enjoy the limited visual info. Like I enjoy looking at them. For some reason, they're slightly more static. They still move and stuff, but there's not, and there's still animation, but there's not like people's faces. Oh my gosh, does this all have to do with me being weirded out by images of people? Whoa. Are we therapizing? Do you think that's what it is? That's so weird. It just occurred to me. I don't know, I gotta think about that later. Sorry. I digress. But that's all to say that I purchased, this is the game Wingspan, which I think is a beautiful and lovely game. It's a tableau building game where you are collecting different birds into different environments on your board. Like you have a wetlands and a grasslands and a forest. And then like you're combining the effects of these different cards to like create an engine of sorts that'll get you goods, and by goods I mean the foods for the birds that you might want to attract to your aviary. The board game itself is gorgeous. It's so enjoyable. But I have really enjoyed playing. I purchased the Nintendo Switch version. There is an app for, I know for iOS and I believe for Android as well. But I purchased it for the Nintendo Switch just because I sometimes try not to play too many apps on my devices because I get distracted. Like I pick up the thing to play my game, but then I end up spending an accidental 900 hours on Instagram or something. So I've been playing it on Nintendo, which has been very enjoyable. Now, I don't know, I only play with the AI. Like, I don't play with other people. I know that you can, but I don't know what that interface looks like. But I enjoy the way I play it. And it even has different options. Like, you can have like a more, what's this word? You can have a less static interface where it like zooms in and like the birds move more and like their motion is animated. I don't know, I'm still holding this. So the birds and stuff move more and they're in like the environment. You switch from the different environments. Like you actually see the wetlands versus the grasslands. But you can also set it to just have the game board so that you have the traditional look of a board game. And then the birds, like it will read you the information about the birds because there's like information on each card. It'll read you the information about the bird. It'll give you the bird's call. But it's not animated beyond that. Like the bird itself is not animated. So it's helpful to me as a person who doesn't like quite as many things moving and making sounds. So yeah, if you like birds and you like games, I highly recommend it. I think the iOS app I think is only $10. And I do know that they are going to bring out, Wingspan itself has several expansions. So the first cards were just North American birds, but they have since released a European cards and it also has like some additional gameplay. Excuse me. But they also have introduced Oceania, which I believe is Pacific. I want to say it's Pacific birds. I could be wrong. I don't have that one. But I do believe that the app, I don't know if the Nintendo Switch game will, but I do believe the app is having an expansion that comes out with the European expansion. So I hope it comes. I don't care if it's like to pay extra for it. That's fine with me. But I hope it also comes to Nintendo. So I have really enjoyed it, and the AI is pretty good now. I've only played the AI on easy and medium. The game itself also has, and the app or the board game and the game that the interface that I'm using has an automaton. So it has this, if you prefer an actual physical game, but you play by yourself, it actually has functionality for you to play against an AI in the board game, which is so cool. And you can play that on the app or the digital game as well. That's what I call it, the digital game. So you can play that way on the digital game as well. But you can also play against humans. You can play online against other humans or in physical presence with other humans. But I've not done that, so I don't know what that looks like. I think that's all. So that expansion is coming in 2022 for the digital versions. And then the other digital game that I've been enjoying is Patchwork by Uwe Rosenberg. This is a great two-player board game. It's it's not polynomials. It's these pieces. It's like the Tetris-y pieces. And I do know that word, I just can't think of it right now, so you don't have to at me. And so you're creating a quilt. Each player is creating a quilt from this changing range of. I almost had it. But you're working. There's different. Like you're working with also like they call the currency is like buttons, but there's two currencies because there's buttons and there's time, and you're like trying to fill up your board, but like I've never been able to fill up my board before the time was out, so you like get points counted against you for empty spaces on your quilt, and you get points for all of the extra buttons you have, like their currency. It's very enjoyable. But I really enjoy the app because one of the things that is, there's a little bit of fiddling with the actual physical game and like moving pieces around and like lining up this line of pieces that you can see. So it can be a little bit fiddly. So I do really like the app because that's all taken care of. I do like the hard game, the analog game in person, because you can kind of see more clearly what pieces are going to be available next, but you can see that on digital, like you just have to swipe it around or whatever. And so this one I've just started playing, but it's quite enjoyable as well. It's a pretty basic rule set. I mean, it probably takes, I should say about Wingspan. Wingspan is not a terribly difficult rule set to learn, but there is more interaction between, like, it's like trying to figure out how to create these runs of actions that happen when you build your tableau. So the rules themselves are not difficult, but it can take a little bit of time to figure out how to get those engines running more efficiently. Whereas Patchwork is very easy to describe what you're doing, and then there's no extra, like you don't have to like, you're just looking at like, okay, is this the amount of space I want to cover? Like, how much does it cost me? It's a little bit less thinky, I guess. But it is very thinky because if you're really, it's a challenge, so it's not easy. It's just like a simpler rule set, I guess. But I've been enjoying those. And I don't know about Patchwork if you can, I believe you can, yes, I believe you can play against another human that's in your presence, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that. But I think that's an option. Oh, I was going to say on Wingspan, I've only played against the easy and medium automated players. I've never played against the hard player. And you can play with up to 5 players on the digital app, on the digital version. And like usually I play with 3 medium players and I win half-ish of the time. So they're a pretty decent challenge. But I mean, mostly Wingspan is solitaire. Like you don't, there's a little bit of sometimes players' actions affect you, but it definitely, and like they can affect you by taking things that you want, things like that. But it's primarily multiplayer solitaire. Whereas Patchwork is yes, you're each working on your own thing, but your opponent's choices have much more impact on how you're moving forward in the game. Is that all? I think that's all. Okay, so should we talk about knitting and spinning? Okay, I'm going to stop us because my battery's running out, but I'll be right back. Okay. Okay. So in spinning, I finished my base 12 spin along from Hip Strings, and I am super, did I finish this last time we talked? I don't think I applied it, right? Have I already showed you this? Now I'm like really doubting myself. Okay, I'm just gonna pretend I haven't. So each year, Hip Strings does a 12-day spin along where you can decide to spin your little, like basically it's a half-ounce bat every day. You can decide to spin them in the order that you want, or you can do them randomly. They give you a 12-sided die so that you can choose your colors randomly. I'm going to pretend that we haven't talked about this. And I just wanted to show you my finished yarn. Right? How fun is that? It's funny because I never spin with silk. Like I never choose it when I'm buying fiber. And I don't dislike, I know a lot of people don't like spinning with it. A lot of people love spinning with it. I feel kind of like neither here nor there about spinning with it, but it is so fun when you spin it up because it's shiny. It just has a little bit of sheen to it, which makes your product look so much different. So it's fun. So I'm going to give away this and some potholder surprises for this quarter's patrons, but I'll do that next time. And let's see, I got about my little hand spun stamp from Katie Greenbean. Hip Strings did about 300 yards, so it's a worsted-ish and 172 grams. And speaking of kind of like Advent countdown spin-alongs, I finally cast on my spin-along, my countdown spin-along I did. Well, it's not a spin-along because I was the only one who did it. Last year, I had the teen make up an Advent calendar for me out of, I purchased 2 Bits and Bobs packs from Into the World, whose fiber is always lovely. If you just got a Christmas present or a holiday present of a spinning wheel, Hip Strings fiber is always beautiful. Three Waters Farm fiber is always beautiful. Joanna Springs fiber is always beautiful. Into the World's fiber is always beautiful. Hello Yarn is always beautiful. Whose yarn am I spinning? Nest fibers. I know I'm forgetting like a million other people who make amazing, beautiful fiber, but like those are just ones that are coming off my head. And sometimes when you're starting spinning, it's really hard to know like, is this challenging to me because it's me, or is the fiber problematic? So the tendency when you're starting to spin, I think, is to purchase the most affordable spinning fiber that you can. There's nothing wrong with that at all. However, occasionally you will get fiber by somebody maybe who's just started dyeing fiber, who doesn't have as much familiarity with it, and you'll get a slightly felted braid, and it can be wildly frustrating when you're a new spinner. I mean, it's super frustrating when you're an experienced spinner because you're like, dude, I spent money on this. But when you're a new spinner, you're very confused about like, is this the fiber or is this me? So sometimes it's really helpful, even though it's hard to bite the bullet. I recommend always to buy natural fiber when you're learning to spin, like undyed. I know it's like less festive, but like you can get some humbugs and stuff so there's still color variation. Also, like Hip Strings, who does, I mean, any of the fiber from those folks I mentioned is going to be great. But sometimes also like mill blended fiber, it hasn't been dyed. Like it's been dyed before it was processed usually, or before it was carted out into roving for you. And so that's often very easy for new people to spin, but lots of times those have lots of different fiber contents in them, which can present challenges for new spinners. So if you're a new spinner, like fiber from those folks I mentioned or undyed fiber is a great way to go. so that you know that the fiber, if you're having problems, that it's probably you and not the fiber, versus the other way around. That's what I say. So this was not an intentional spin along by any, or an intentional advent by Into the World. It was just one that I made up. So, they had the teen makeup where I just had them like parse out little, because the bits and bobs are just like little bits of like the ends of rovings and things like that. And so it's like a very higgledy-piggledy mess, but super fun. And so I decided that I was going to, it sat caked up for quite a while, but I decided I was going to just cast on a dotted raise because, dude, I love knitting. This is a Stephen West pattern, and I really just dig knitting it. It is definitely potato chip knitting in my world. I love knitting heavier weights of, this is probably like DK worsted, chain plied, hand spun in a garter stitch. It's super enjoyable. It's fast to knit. Always something happening both with the yarn and the pattern, because this one involves a lot of short row stuff. But it's super easy short rows, dotted rays, because you don't have to do wraps and turns or anything like that. You can see probably the little dots are actually, the design highlights your wraps, or highlights the short rows and uses the break that would happen in a short row that you usually do a wrap and turn or a German short row for, and actually just uses that break and highlights it and creates these dots. So there's no stress about like doing any of the normal short row techniques. It's literally just like a turn your work in the middle of the row. So again, that's Dotted Rays by Stephen West. He's got a million of them. There's like a stripy one, there's a self-striping one, there's a, I think there might be a Marley one. There's all different variations of them. But once you have one of them, you can kind of figure out how to do all of them. Isn't it fun? And my hope is that when this is actually all knit up and worn, it'll just kind of like, right? So even though it's real hot crazy, like once it's all just together and like living as its own thing, it feels less hot crazy to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just it's just me. So anyway, there's that. And then finished objects. I finished my self-striping socks. This is yarn from Nomadic Yarns, and this is one of their Christmas colorways. It was Meet Me Under the Mistletoe, I believe. And I mean, isn't that just like such a good color, right? Oh, love it. So I'm very pleased with those. These were a sparkle base. Again, I don't usually buy a sparkle base, but she had it dyed up and ready to go, and I find it to be very pleasing. Sometimes it's nice to go back. I don't usually love the 2-ply 80/20s sock yarns, but I didn't mind knitting this at all. And this is, again, this one is one also sparkle in it, but I did enjoy knitting these quite a bit. The pattern is just the first full row of a color change. You knit 2, slip 1. That's the pattern. I do a true afterthought heel where I cut my sock to put in my heel. It's just what I prefer. But if you're going to do this pattern, be aware that you should leave a stripe, or like if you know where you're going to put your heel, leave a stripe plain where you're not slipping stitches. It'll make it much easier to cut into, to put your stitches on the needles for your heel. So yeah. But yay. And then I also finished, oh, I didn't bring that tag. Oh well. Maybe I'll talk about it next time. I finished a pair of socks that I had cranked, that I put the heels and cuffs in. But I don't think this dyer, you know what? This dyer is not in business anymore, so I actually I'm not going to worry too much about mentioning who they are. But I just want to show them because it's so fun. So lots of folks are cranking socks for you right now if you're interested. Freckled Whimsy is who I purchased these tubes from, the cranking service. Knit Spin Farm also does them, and I know other folks are out there doing them as well, but those are the folks that I have purchased that service from in the past. So So my husband's hat that I'm working on, I finished the band for, I hope. I just kitchenered it and he's coming home. I'll make him try it on. I think it's going to work. So I kind of made it like the 1838 hat or something like that. But without the ear flaps because he doesn't actually like things to touch his ears. And then I'm going to pick up, as long as it fits, I'm going to pick up the circumference and just make a very shallow hat. Almost like a pillbox shape for him. And then I think I'll do the lining as well. So I think I'll basically make a mirror version where there's a little bit of hat here, a little bit of hat here, and then you can just turn them in on themselves. So I do really love the edge of Cascade Eco Plus garter with a slip stitch edge. Oh, it's so satisfying. Right? Like, it's just so satisfying. Pleasant. And then, I definitely did work a little bit more on my sweater, but I'll say that until next time because you probably can't tell the difference, and Lord knows I've talked enough already. Right. Oh my gosh, thanks so much for coming over. In case you missed it because I put everything in a weird order, I will have a shop update on the 15th, which is tomorrow, at 9 p.m. Eastern time, so it's New York City time. I'm going to have these color block bags, which I'm very excited about. And if you'd like to hear more about them, you can see in the show notes. I'll have time stamped when you can pop back and look at those if you want to. But yeah, ooh, almost spilled my tea, literally. So yeah, I think that's all. Yeah, that's all. I hope you're staying safe. I hope you feel like your best is good enough because it is. Boy, that's a big one, right? That's a big one. Like, it's a truth that if you accept, I think can be really revolutionary, but boy, it's a hard one to accept. I mean, what else could we hope for? I'll talk to you next time. Bye.